After one season as the starting quarterback of the Nebraska Cornhuskers, Casey Thompson is out and into the transfer portal, which means the time is now for Jeff Sims. Can he lead the Huskers to better offensive production in 2023? Before we answer that, just a reminder to hit subscribe if you haven't already. Big Ten content all offseason long. Always crush that like button to spread the word of Big Ten Ted to the masses. This move from Casey Thompson leaving Nebraska, fairly predictable, right? When Matt Rule came in as the head coach, one of the first big acquisitions, one of the first big moves that he was able to make is going into the transfer portal, grabbing a Power 5 starting quarterback from Georgia Tech by the name of Jeff Sims. So right away from the outset, Matt Rule had his eyes on who he wanted to be the starting quarterback of this team. And of course, Casey Thompson banged up, not available during spring ball, not really able to prove and show the coaching staff that he could be the quarterback over the guy that they just brought in. So this is fairly predictable. And this offensive scheme, this offensive system, I'll get to this as the video progresses in different ways, is going to be different than what Casey was experiencing in 2022, because this was an offense under Mark Whipple that liked to whip it around, that liked to throw it around, and sometimes there was a refusal to run the football. And running the football, Matt Rule has said it, Marcus Satterfield has said it, they've talked about fullbacks, they've talked about tight ends. Running the football is the key to why Jeff Sims is the quarterback, Casey Thompson is out, and running the football will be the key to offensive success in 2023 for the Nebraska Cornhuskers. You know, when I first looked at Jeff Sims on tape, I kind of went back into the playbook a little bit, years and years when Matt Rule was coaching. And about 10 years ago, Matt Rule at Temple coached a kid by the name of P.J. Walker. Right? Those of you XFL fans will probably know the name P.J. Walker. Tall, lanky kid. Temple incorporated him in the quarterback run game, and he was able to hit balls downfield when the defense kind of creeped up a little bit. And that's where Jeff Sims fits in. This is a team that's going to want to run the football first. This is a team that needs to run the football first to be successful. And they have the running backs, plus Jeff Sims in the quarterback run game, to be able to do it. I look at Anthony Grant. He can be a number one running back in the Big Ten. Gabe Ervin Jr. has kind of been banged up a little bit. When he's been on the field, he's been good. And Ramir Johnson, man, maybe one of the most underutilized guys in the Big Ten the last year or two. This is a running back room that can make a difference. And when I look back at Jeff Sims' tape at Georgia Tech, I see a lot of read plays. I see a lot of his ability to make the right read, design quarterback run game, move the chains. The diversity in different kinds of plays in the run game is going to be another big key for Nebraska as they continue to go along, because at first you start with the run game. And then you look at the tight end duo that Nebraska has. I know Eric Gilbert didn't have the best spring game, but Eric Gilbert and Thomas Fidone, right? Marcus Satterfield talked about tight ends. Matt Rule has talked about tight ends and getting them more involved in this system. Running the football, play fake, short rollout, get it to your tight end, 8 yards, first down. That has been, even though Iowa has not been a good football team offensively, that is one thing that they've been able to do. Play fake, roll out, 8 yards, Sam Laporta, Luke Lachey, whoever, first down. And that could be the mark of what Nebraska wants to do. And I think they've got a pretty darn good tight end group to be able to do it. The more the Huskers continue to run the football, the more that's going to open things up down the field. Okay, once again, I look at Jeff Sims, and he's got the accuracy to put it where it needs to be, 20 yards, 30 yards, sometimes 40 yards plus down the field. I don't think this Nebraska team is going to be at points like last year where they're slinging it deep, 40, 50 yards a ton to Trey Palmer. I don't know if there's a Trey Palmer. Actually, I can say pretty confidently, I don't think there's a Trey Palmer type. Now, there's guys that can get down the field. There's guys that can get deep. There's guys that have speed. on this Nebraska team and this wide receiving core, but I just don't think they're going to whip it around as regularly as Mark Whipple, Casey Thompson, Trey Palmer, etc. did a year ago. So, can this Nebraska offense be better? A big factor is this offensive line, because this offensive line has been one of the weak parts of Nebraska football the last few seasons. They've done some things to be able to improve it. I look at Ben Scott, who should be your day one starting center, and then you look at guys like a Ben Hart, you look at guys like a Turner Corcoran. Have they developed enough? Can this offensive line be big and beefy and push Big Ten defensive fronts around? That's going to be the key for Nebraska and Jeff Sims being successful. If they can improve, this is a Husker team that could be very, very good on offense. I just want to see Nebraska be more consistent, right? When you talk about the Scott Frost reign, when you talk about Nebraska in years past, you got to take a look at the inconsistencies, the penalties. They need to be more disciplined. Give me more consistency, and I think this offense is going to be better. This offense is going to depend on being physical at the point of attack. The coaching staff, Rule, Satterfield, they have pounded that into our brains, and I'm sure the Nebraska fans wouldn't love anything more than to once again be a physical football team. It benefits Jeff Sims running this offense, right? Because you look at his numbers as a quarterback at Georgia Tech, they don't pop off the screen. They don't pop off the screen by any means. Like, if you're expecting Jeff Sims to go out there, throw for 3,000 yards and 30 touchdowns, you're going to be disappointed, because that's not who he is, and that's not what this offensive scheme is. This is an offensive scheme that's going to run the football and try to set up the pass, try to set up play action, getting tight ends involved, getting short passing game involved. I saw a lot of chemistry between Jeff Sims and a guy like Billy Kemp. I saw that really form in the spring game. There are a couple of questions to be answered. And of course, holding on to the football like they didn't do in the spring game. There are some questions to be answered, but if this Nebraska offense can be consistent and take advantage of Jeff Sims' talents, because he has talents. I'm not saying he's an all-everything quarterback. You need to do certain things to make him successful. But this Nebraska offense can be better. I don't know if they will be better, but consistency will be the key. I want to hear your thoughts. Do you think Casey Thompson is a big loss for Nebraska at quarterback, or do you think Jeff Sims is going to step in and be just fine? Leave your thoughts in the comments below. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. I'm Big Ten Ted. We will see you in the next one.